Welcome to my English YouTube channel. Today we are going to look at lesson 5, past perfect tense. Past perfect tense. This is lesson 5 of unit 3, that is tenses. So we are looking at tenses. Therefore, we are moving to lesson 5, which is past perfect tense. For example, if I say, I had broken a glass, I had broken a glass, I had sung, I had sung. When I say I had sung, what I'm actually doing, I'm just giving the past perfect tense. So what do we mean by past perfect tense? The past perfect tense is quite an easy tense to understand and use. This tense talks about the past in the past. We are talking about the past in the past. So we are talking about two actions happening in the past. So past in the past. So there's no way you will talk about past perfect tense without mentioning two actions that happened in the past. That's a rule, and there's no other way you can go about it. So in this lesson, we are going to look at structure, first of all. How do we make the past perfect tense? How do we make the past perfect tense? That's very important. Then use. How do we use the past perfect tense? How do we use it? When do we use it? And how do we use it? So we are going to look at majorly two things that we are going to explore very much, and that will give us the deep understanding of what past perfect tense is all about. So let us start. Let us start with how we make the past perfect tense. It's very simple. First, you need a subject. Then add auxiliary verb have. Then add the main verb. So there is the aspect of conjugation in simple past tense. So from have, you change it to had. So you've done some conjugation that takes us from have to had, because have is a model for present perfect tense. So what do you do now to the main verb? In whichever form the main verb was, you have to change it to its past participle. You have to change it to its past participle. But you will realize when you are using regular verbs, you may not be able to realize that when giving a statement in past perfect tense, you've not changed the tense to past participle, because in regular verbs, the past tense and the past participle remain the same. They don't change. They don't change. But when it comes to irregular verbs, that's when we see there is a change between the past tense and the past participle. So what are we saying here? We are saying you must have a subject, auxiliary verb, which you change into had, then a main verb, and this main verb, you have to work it in a way that you change that main verb from whatever form of verb it is to past participle. So that is it. Now, that is for affirmative sentences. For negative sentences, in the past perfect tense, we insert not, sorry, we insert not between the auxiliary verb and the main verb. For question sentences, we exchange the subject and auxiliary verb. So what are we saying here? Normally, we look at three types of sentences: affirmative sentence, negative sentence, and question sentence. So these rules, you must really follow them, adhere to them, and you will not have something, wrong. So let us look at some of the examples with the past perfect. I had finished my work. I had finished my work. Now, finished is a regular verb, so it has not changed. Its past tense is finished. Its past participle remains finished. What about if I say she had not gone to school? She had not gone to school. So you can see gone is the past participle of went. Of went. Now, when speaking with the past perfect tense, that's not writing, but when you are speaking, we often contract the subject and auxiliary verb. We contract. We make it smaller. We contract when in spoken. But in written, you leave it in expanded form. Don't contract the subject and auxiliary. For example, instead of me in written, when I'm in written, I will say, I had. But in spoken, I would say out. You had, you'd, in spoken. He had, he'd. He had, he'd. She had, she'd. It had, it'd. Yeah. We had, we'd. They had, they'd. So in spoken, we contract the verb and the auxiliary and the main verb. So note, there's something you have to note. Ved. Contraction is also used for the auxiliary verb would. For example, we would. You say with, which can mean we had, or we would. So I'm saying with can mean we had, or can mean we would. Yes. But usually the main verb is in a different form. Usually the main verb is in a different form. For example, we had arrived. That's past participle. We would arrive. We had arrived. We would arrive. So it is always clear from the context. It is always clear from the context. So let us move ahead. We have seen how we can construct past participle. What about how do we use the past perfect tense? The past perfect tense expresses action in the past before another action in the past. So it expresses an action in the past before another action in the past. This is the past in the past. This is the past in the past. So what are we saying? For example, the train left at 9 a.m. The train left at 9 a.m. We arrived at 9:15 a.m. So when we arrived, the train had left. When we arrived, the train had left. So we are seeing the past in the past. We are seeing two actions happening in the past. But the first one to happen is the past perfect tense. And the second one to happen is the past tense. That's what I want you to know. So let us look at some examples here to illustrate and make it more clear what we learned. I wasn't hungry. I had just eaten. I wasn't hungry. I had just eaten. They were hungry. They had not eaten for 5 hours. I didn't know who he was. I had never seen him before. John wasn't at home when I arrived. Really? Where had he gone? So you can sometimes think of the past perfect tense like the present perfect tense, but instead of the time being now, the time is past. So, for example, imagine that you arrive at the station at 9:15 a.m. The station master says to you, "You are too late. The train has left." Later, you tell your friends, now you are reporting, "We were too late. The train had left." So we often use the past perfect tense in reported speech after verbs like said, told, asked, thought, wondered. Look at these examples. Let us now look at these examples. He told us that the train had left. He told us that the train had left. He told us. That is past tense. The train had left. That is past perfect. I thought I had met her before, but I was wrong. I thought past tense. I had met her past perfect. I was wrong past tense. He explained that he had closed the window because of the rain. He explained that he had closed the window because of the rain. I wonder if I had been there before. I asked them why they had not finished. I asked them, past tense, why they had not finished, past perfect. So this brings us to the end of past perfect tense. And what I want you to remember, that when we are talking about past perfect tense, we have to mention two things that happen, two actions that happen in the past, one happening before the other. So the one that happens first is the past perfect, and the one that happens last is the past tense. That's what I want you to remember. Another thing I want you to remember is that in whichever form the main verb is, we have to conjugate it. We have to change it into past participle. And I'm also saying when it comes to usage, past perfect tenses are always used in reported speeches. They are always used in reported speeches, and therefore you would see mostly also in passive sentences. In passive sentences. Therefore, this brings us to the end of lesson 5 under unit 3, that is tenses. I hope this lesson has helped you in one way or another. In case you have some what you want to find out from me, then let us interact in Google Class and let us get on moving. And from whatever your suggestions are and even questions as well as comments will make me make this my lessons better and better. So don't keep to yourself, keep communicating, keep talking to me, because that's how we learn and that's how we acquire as many more new things in as far as the language is concerned. Otherwise, thank you very much. Let us meet in the next lesson 6. That is simple future tense. Simple future tense.